Good evening and welcome to the West Shore Foundation's 5th annual gala. I'm Steve Knight from CBS 21 News, and I'm excited to once again serve as host for the evening. Thank you for joining us as we raise funding to support the West Shore Foundation. The foundation's mission is to enhance the educational experience of the students and teachers of the West Shore School District through their focus on academics, arts, athletics, technology, and leadership. The foundation provides funding and support for innovative educational programs that do not fall within the district's traditional budget. Your support makes great things happen throughout the West Shore School District, a cause that is near and dear to my heart as our youngest son is currently a senior student. And hey, speaking of great things, we're going to kick things off this evening with a performance from the West Shore Marching Band.
The year is 2020. Technology has become entrenched in our daily lives. Social media gathers each and every bit of information humanity so willingly shares. And artificial intelligence gets increasingly smarter every day. As humans become more enslaved to technology, AI continues to become more human. Welcome to the algorithm.
Hello, everyone. You know, the best organizations know why they exist. And as a district, our why can be found in our commitment to providing students with inspiring and relevant experiences so they may live meaningful, purposeful, and impactful lives. The West Shore Foundation helps us live into our why by providing financial support for academics, arts, athletics, technology, and leadership. So please consider donating to the foundation via the link on the screen, so they in turn can continue to support the many wonderful opportunities the district provides. As an example of the innovative programs the foundation supports, imagine if schools had places where you could think, build, and design anything you could imagine, and provided just enough guidance and resources for you to be successful. What if those were places that were driven by intrinsic motivation and passion in pursuit of solving real-world problems that were important to you? Well, here's a video of one of those places right here in West Shore at Redland High School.
Da Vinci is a course at Redland taught by math teacher Ian Wynn, physics teacher Matt Wagoner, and tech ed teacher Dan Stelbaker.
Da Vinci is a project STEM-based course where students earn a math, science, and tech ed credit.
Projects are chosen by the student, and it's their responsibility to determine which state standards align with their learnings.
This course gives students an opportunity to solve real-world problems in which they have a personal interest.
The students come to us with a wide variety of project ideas.
Magnetic levitation.
Preventing plastic pollution.
Inventory management app.
At the end of the course, they present what they've created and they share what they've learned about their project, as well as their science, math, and tech ed standards. This gives them experience in project management, problem solving, interview skills, self-research, and public speaking.
My project I'm working on is inventory management app. It's such a broad spectrum of things you can do. Like one person in our class is working on plastics, another person's making a greenhouse, I'm making an app. It's just such a wide variety of things that any person with any interest can get into.
Our students get to pick their own destiny. The Da Vinci course allows the students to work on projects that range from anything dealing with research to anything STEM related to engineering to designing any type of product that they want.
I am focusing on research on magnets and hovercraft and maglev.
My project is researching all about plastics and trying to discover ways on how to make plastic less of a harm for the environment.
I ran into a lot of problems with this idea, and especially for bi-weekly meetings and brainstorming with peers, I was asked a lot more questions, and with every question it was a new problem to the list. And in other classes I kind of would have just stopped at that, but with Da Vinci there's this new technique that we were taught about how instead of shutting down an idea, you give new ideas and a positive input towards it. So with that, I was able to work around those problems and create something new from them.
I've been able to overcome a lot of things. So if I get stuck on something, I'll just move a little backwards and try and find something else. In my project, if I am jumping into biodegradables and I don't understand something, I'm gonna jump back into what is plastic, how it's made, and look into that research, and then go back into biodegradables and have more of an understanding.
Throughout the years that we've had this course, we have had students clean up gutters for plastic to make fishing lures. We've had students create their own lip balm. We've had students create a drone for disaster relief that flies itself, that can find people if they are under rubble. We've had many different projects throughout this course.
My name is Olivia Hawkins. I'm a 2019 Redland grad, and I'm currently a sophomore at Penn State Harrisburg, and I'm studying psychology. Through the Da Vinci program, I was able to mold the program to study psychology and do extensive research. Through this extensive research, I was able to develop my researching skills and analyzing scholarly articles, which is what I'm primarily doing in all of my courses currently.
My name is Mitchell Zaring, and I was a senior in the Da Vinci program last year. I specifically learned how to work in a group to come up with a project and present it to a group of judges at the STEM competition. I also had many personal projects. One of my most memorable would be building the electric skateboard from scratch to be used at school. If it wasn't for this class, I wouldn't have learned as much as I did last year, and I would encourage anyone to take it, especially if you're interested in going to the STEM field.
Throughout the entire course, the students are working on blogs that are out there for the public to see, and you can find some of our blogs that our kids are doing in class through our Twitter account.
you get to choose what you love, your passion, and you get to pursue that through a project. And because it is so independent, you get to go into like the outside community world and like interact with it. So you get so much benefit from that.
A cheap 3D printed shoe dryer.
Ginseng greenhouse.
Rotary access port device.
Magnetic levitation.
Preventing plastic pollution.
Programs like the Da Vinci Experience have been made possible by the West Shore Foundation. Your donation helps provide grants that bring classrooms to life, give an academic boost to help students excel, and support the arts, leadership, and athletic dreams. A great way to support the foundation this evening is to check out the silent auction. There are many items and experiences to bid on. Visit one.bidpal.net WSF Gala 2020 now to explore the auction items. One of this year's items is an opportunity to have a one-on-one Zoom session with our alumni guest speaker, Cedar Cliff graduate and Better Call Saul star, Patrick Fabian. Patrick is joining us now to share his West Shore School District experience and answer some of your questions. Take it away, Patrick.
Hey, thanks very much, Steve. You know, I, like everybody else on the planet, pretends that they like to be a meteorologist as well. Right here, I've got my red screen, so I want to point to the weather and talk what's going up and make predictions. And the fact of the matter is I have no knowledge of how to do that, and obviously I can't even do that properly. So, you know, what I can do properly, though, is that it turns out I've been able to be an actor for a very long time. And that started back at the West Shore School District. That started at Cedar Cliff High School. That's where I was able to play, explore, find out, try a bunch of different things. And I would be very remiss if I didn't start off by thanking my teachers. Carol Diffendorfer, my English teacher, Lillian Uditz, who was my play director, my band directors, Mark Dickey and Doug Williams, and probably most importantly, David O. Dietz, who was my musical director and my choir director. All of them brought things to bear to help inspire me. But what they really did is they allowed me to play. I saw adults who were working in the arts, who had jobs in the arts, and I saw adults who taught me about discipline of practice. They taught me how to be a part of the whole. Band, choir, musicals, plays, those were all about knowing what your role was in order to make something bigger, something outside of yourself. And in the end, whether you did it on stage or a football field or in a concert hall, you got to be part of a collective that did something that affected people. I mean, either good or bad. Sometimes we got applause, sometimes it wasn't so good. You know, that's okay, because that's life. It's not always yay and we're winning, you know. Sometimes you're not. And as an artist, that's also true, just like it is in any life. But, you know, at Cedar Cliff, they were able to go ahead and inspire me and give me permission to dream. And I think as a young person, that's so incredibly important. And I still consider myself a young person, even though I graduated in 1983, which is okay too. I still dream, and I still have dreams, and I still have hopes and optimism about what's going on. And those seeds were planted back at Cedar Cliff. Those seeds were planted at the West Shore School District because the arts, at least for me, are wildly important. And even if you don't go into the arts, I think the arts are important because I think they help work a different part of your brain and a different part of your heart. We all consume the arts, right? Television, music, all that stuff. We all eat it up. It's part of our lives. And I think if you're exposed to it at a young age, it gives you an opportunity to either grow it, participate in it, or at least appreciate it. And I think in terms of being a human on the planet, I'm a big fan of the arts being a large component of why it's good to be alive. You know, the arts and nature and everything else is fantastic. I mean, I would say science and math, except I was terrible at science and math. And I love the planetarium, which no longer exists, of course. It's an aquaponics lab, but I like the planetarium because it was all dreamy. I liked what it possessed up in the sky. But the actual hardware, that wasn't my thing. Because in high school, you can find out what your thing is. And the West Shore Foundation helps provide funding so kids who want to figure out if the arts is their thing can happen. You know, I've had a really successful life in the arts, a lucky, very fortunate life in the arts. I didn't get rich and famous, but I got to be recognizable a little bit because I've been on television enough for a number of years that people know who I am, kind of. Sometimes they just know me as, did I go to high school with you? And I always say, I don't know. Did you grow up in central Pennsylvania? Did you go to Cedar Cliff or Redland or Camp Hill or Williamsburg? You know, and that's when usually they don't know what I'm talking about. but you know what I'm talking about because it's great to be in Central Pennsylvania, and it was great to be from Central Pennsylvania. It's provided me with the template to go ahead and have the life that I've had. And it's the life I'm still having, as a matter of fact. Here I am working on my iPhone, making a movie for you. But I want to thank you all for participating in the West Shore Foundation. Thank you for every dollar you're able to give. It's the sort of thing that's going to help fuel the dream of somebody else who's out there right now in Central PA. And the West Shore School District gave me the platform to go ahead and have a fantastic life in the arts. And I hope tonight is going to raise a lot of money to go ahead and give that opportunity to some other student as well. I want to thank you very much for listening, and thank you for your contributions. Well, I got the question, is there an acting role that got away from me? I would say all the ones that I didn't get cast on got away from me, didn't they? But I think you're talking about, is there one that really hurts, that so-and-so got rich and famous off of and did such great work and I didn't get to do it? Probably hundreds of those. You know, I've been fortunate enough to do this for a long time. I started off in my 20s, and when I was in my 20s, all my other friends, we also weren't getting the job on ER. So we weren't George Clooney, and we also weren't Brad Pitt. It turns out those roles were already taken and played rather nicely by George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and they're still playing George Clooney and Brad Pitt pretty well. So they didn't need, you know, Patrick Fabian to try and be Brad Pitt, which I guess lends itself to, would it have been fun to be on ER or Friends or Thelma and Louise? Absolutely. But I think they got the right guys for the jobs in that one. They got the right actors on that one. So you have to sort of say the roles you do get, yay. And the ones that you don't get, that's too bad. Maybe next time. The question is, do I prefer playing good guys or bad guys? And do I like comedy better than drama? I'll be a mercenary and tell you right off the bat, I like getting paid. So if you want me to be a good guy, that sounds okay to me. But I understand what you're saying. Here's the thing. I think that there are no good guys or bad guys. Those are just characters who have points of view that the audience may agree with or disagree with. That sounds very sort of artsy-fartsy, right? But it's true. I don't think anybody who's being a bad guy or a villain thinks they're a bad guy. They're just getting what they want through means that most the rest of us think are terrible. In terms of comedy versus drama, well, it's always really, really, really fun to do something that makes people laugh, especially if you're like live on stage or something like that, or if you're on set. It's so fun. Nothing is worse, though, than being in a comedy and getting no laughs. That's one of the worst feelings in the world. And again, they're just different. I like to work. It sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's the truth. I like to work, and I like the variety of work that all of that provides. But if you wanted to, call somebody and make me the next James Bond, I'm not going to complain. Okay, so make the call. What is my favorite thing to do outdoors? I moved to California a while ago, and part of the reason is I love swimming in the ocean probably more than anything. Even though Los Angeles has all the problems that you would imagine Los Angeles. And I remember growing up in Pennsylvania, where we'd always see, like, why is California on fire? Why are there earthquakes? Why are there mudslides? Why is anybody living there? I became that person who came out anyways, and I've fallen in love with it. And part of the reason is I go to the beach almost every weekend. I love swimming in the Pacific Ocean probably more than anything. And then right off the Pacific Ocean, there's these mountains in Santa Monica and up in Malibu and Oxnard where you can go hiking. So it's actually, for a town that's got 11 million people in it, probably more, there's a lot to do outside. So if you ever get out here, go take a dunk in the Pacific Ocean off of Santa Monica. You won't be sorry. What is my favorite book? Well, I'm glad you asked that, because in this land of incredible electronic distractions, books are still, for me, great solace. Whether it's by a campfire or it's you're in your bed with a reading lamp, a good book really can't be beat. When I was a young man, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger was a big one. F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby was fantastic. Still a gorgeous, gorgeous, achingly beautiful book. I will say Daniel J. Borsten's The Discoverers and The Creators, which are two giant volumes, they are, but they're great. They're all about the inventors of the world and the creators and the artists of the world. It's kind of from the beginning of time. It's a great overview, and it's a great broad opening of your mind of all what's been out there and all what's possible. I love to read, and I hope you do too. So tell me, what's your favorite book? What do I miss about living in central Pennsylvania? Lots. The seasons. 4 hard seasons I missed the most. I loved it when it was fall and the leaves would turn. It was just a glorious time. I miss Central PA because, it feels big city-ish, but, you're right out in the country. You go to Ashcombs Farms, right out the freeway, and you can go pick strawberries. I loved all that. I loved the small town feel of it all. I missed the concerts that used to go on City Island. They don't anymore, but I saw all my first rock and roll shows there. Nagy Park up in Lemoyne, right? And you look over the river. That was a great place to go. I miss Santa Claus on the fire truck who used to go up and down Bridge Street and Branch Street in New Cumberland where I grew up. I miss that. And I miss the people. Central Pennsylvania has really, genuine nice people. And I'm not saying Los Angeles, where I live now, doesn't. But maybe it doesn't have as many. Ooh, somebody wants me to know if I could give advice to my younger self, what I would say. Okay, well, this is complete dad stuff, but it's true. 1, don't smoke. Don't smoke and don't vape. You're not looking cool, and it's really, really terrible for your body. 2, don't get into debt. Save your money a little bit, because if you get into debt, you got to go to work in order to pay off your debt, and you can't be free to do what you want to do. Also, lighten up a little bit. It's a long run, so enjoy the ups and the downs, but try to surround yourself with good friends and be a good friend. Don't lie. This is complete dad stuff, but guess what? My dad was right. Who would I like to work with as an actor or an actress? Well, I have been blessed with working with a ton of great people over my career, and I'm grateful for that. Off the top of my head, I've always loved Amy Adams' work, and it would be great to do a scene with her. And you know what? It wouldn't be bad to get punched out by Daniel Craig. How about that? I think that's the only way I'll ever get into a Bond movie, is if I'm like the villain in the suit, or maybe no, not the villain in the suit. I would be the lawyer for the villain, and that's why I would get punched out. I wouldn't last very long in the film, but that's okay. What are 2 of my favorite roles? Well, one of them would be if I have a job right now, and thankfully I do. I work as Howard Hamlin on AMC's Better Call Saul, and that's been running for 5 seasons, and we're going to go back and do a 6th and final season sometime early next year. So that's one of my favorite jobs, because it means I'm working right now. Another one, well, anytime anybody asks this always pops into my head. I got to work on Xena, the warrior princess, and it's shot in New Zealand, so you got to fly to New Zealand. I got to wear a leather vest and leather gauntlets. I beat up the bad guys, and I kissed the girl, and I didn't get killed. So that sounds like a pretty good 2-week job. I think my dad actually called me and said, "They actually pay you for that?" And yes, Dad, they did. It wasn't going to win any Emmys, and probably not have any critical acclaim, but boy, oh boy, was it fun. I got to be a swashbuckler for a couple of weeks, and I got to play and see a different part of the world, and that was fantastic. And I got to kiss Xena. Did I mention that? What did I miss about growing up in New Cumberland? New Cumberland was a small town. I missed the small townness of it. I loved biking and walking everywhere I went in town, and I would always know somebody, and I always felt safe. And that was a real plus. And I wish I could bike around and walk around in Los Angeles in the same way. I don't think it's as safe. On behalf of David Wagner, I'm supposed to talk about what it was like to kiss Kelly Kapowski on Saved by the Bell, the college years. First of all, I'm glad we finally got to this. I know it's been on people's minds. For those of you who don't know, I played Professor Jeremiah Lasky on Saved by the Bell, the college years. I was a professor. Kelly Kapowski was a student, and I can't even believe the storyline existed then. It certainly wouldn't exist now. I ended up dating her, and I ended up kissing her, which thrilled many, many, many young men back in the day, and appalled all of the women, and mostly because she had been dating Zach Morris, and that was played by Mark Paul Gosselaar, and of course, Kelly Kapowski was played by Tiffany Amber Thiessen. And they had been on Saved by the Bell for 4 years as boyfriend and girlfriend. Then they go to college and they see me with my long hair. Yes, I had long, beautiful brown hair that I was in love with. It's okay, I was. And yeah, guess what? So it didn't work out for her and I, funnily enough. It did not work out in the land of TV, and she ended up getting back together with Zach, and I think they even got married. I was not invited to the wedding. But in answer to your question, David Wagner, yes, it was nice to kiss Kelly Kapowski. I was paid to do it and forced to do it because I was an actor. But nonetheless, as somebody pointed out, when I die, they might put on my tombstone, he kissed Kelly Kapowski. And a generation of men will come over and tip a 40 on my gravestone. A practical actor question. How do you find audition monologues? So the good news is, the internet's got a zillion things. If you just punch in, female, young audition monologue, you'll get a ton of stuff. So you can research, using the internet for that. Audition monologue books are always out there. I always found audition monologues basically from watching other people do stuff. In acting class, if you take class, you'll see people come in with material and you'll go, ooh, that's good. Maybe I'll do that. And that's, guess what? There's a grand tradition of stealing other people's monologues and ways of acting. Nothing wrong with that because you're going to make it your own anyways. So check out books, check out theater bookshops, and check out the internet and steal from your friends and neighbors. What career would I have chosen if I hadn't chosen being an actor? Interesting, I was going to be a musician. I played trombone in high school, and I was good for a kid in high school, and I thought I wanted to go ahead and be a professional. So I was going to be a musician. So imagine my father and mother, right? I'm in high school, and they're like, well, are you going to go to college? And I'm like, no, I think I'm just going to go to New York because I'm going to be a professional trombonist. That's what every parent wants to hear. And instead I came back to them and I said, I changed my mind. I'm not going to be a musician. And they were like, whew, great. What do you want to do? And I said, I want to be an actor. How would you get a job as an actor in central Pennsylvania? I don't really particularly know, but I do know there's community theaters, and I know you can audition for stuff like that. I know that local colleges will have film departments, and they will be looking for actors, so you can contact them, and you can go ahead and audition. You can also look in the papers in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and see if there's any productions that are coming into town to shoot movies or TV shows, and you can audition. But mostly, you gotta have to sort of be self-starting about that sort of thing. You gotta figure out what it is you like to do, whether it's stage or screen, and start to follow who casts those things and find those casting offices. They may be located in central Pennsylvania. They may be located in Philly or in Pittsburgh or New York. But the great news is with your phone and the internet now, you can actually make yourself available to things. You can put yourself on tape and submit yourself for an audition and see what happens. Good luck. What has been my most memorable role? I always like to say it's the role that I'm doing right now, because it's fun to have a career behind you and look at it and sift through it and go like, oh, that happened. But it's most fun to be working in the here and now. So right now, my most memorable role, without a doubt, is playing Howard Hamlin on Better Call Saul, and I can't wait to get back. There's an immediacy to the thing that you're doing in front of you right now. There's anxiety about what might be coming up ahead of you, and there's only sort of like rumination about what happened behind you. So the here and now I'm very much interested in. So right now, it's Howard Hamlin on Better Call Saul. Fondest memory of going to Cedar Cliff High School. There's so many, because like high school is filled with all those times when your heart's growing, your head's growing, and everything's happening, right? Two things come to mind. I loved playing in the marching band, and playing at halftime at football games was one of the most fun things ever. Because, we're there to support the football team, but the football team is a team that rehearses, right? They practice so they can come together as a collective and do something to try and win the game. And then as a marching band, we also came together as a collective to try and do something at halftime, which was to entertain and support. And I thought that was a great moment in high school, where you've got athletes and artists all together for the same cause on a Friday night, especially when it's fall and it's crisp and yummy. Those are good times. What's a typical day for me when I'm not acting? Well, I'm not acting quite a lot, which means I have a lot of time to live in here and wonder why I'm not working. So I try to take care of myself. I try and stay healthy. I try and exercise and all that stuff. But I also have two kids who are 8 and 10 years old. And guess what? You're going to find out probably someday that children take up an awful lot of your time. It's a great thing to do, but they take up an enormous amount of your time. So I'm a dad, and happily so, which is actually good because if I get auditions, I get right to it. I don't brood and wait over it. So if I'm not working as an actor, I'm auditioning to get a job as an actor, but all in between there, I am a full-time dad and husband. So it's all good. What do I like about my character Howard Hamlin from Better Call Saul, and what do I dislike? I'll be honest, I don't really dislike a whole lot about him. I love his suits. I love the fact that he's the head of a company. I think that Howard is on the right side of history in the Better Call Saul world, which is the way it should be, right? Because I'm playing him. I'm not rooting for Jimmy or Kim. I'm rooting for Howard. I even like his car. So that's, I'm all good for it. I got no dislikes for Howard Hamlin, although I'm sure I'll hear pushback about what you can dislike about him. All right, this is a lightning round of questions, and my daughter, Abby Ray, is going to read them to me. Go.
What was your favorite restaurant as a high school student?
My favorite restaurant as a high school student was Dante's in the Cedar Cliff Mall. Go.
What car did you drive in high school?
What car did I drive in high school? I grew up in Upper New Cumberland. What do you think I am? From Green Lane Farms? Didn't have a car. Go.
Favorite radio station in high school?
Favorite radio station? WTPA Rocks, Central PA. Also WKBO if you're listening to AM.
What TV shows did you watch growing up?
What TV shows did I watch growing up? Oh my gosh, I loved TV. I watched everything. Go.
What do you miss about growing up in Central PA?
What do I miss about growing up in Central PA? The people and the weather. Go.
What do you keep in touch with any of your childhood friends?
Do I keep in touch with any of my childhood friends? Yes. Shout out to Tim Holmes. How about that?
Name some of your favorite teachers or subjects.
Favorite teachers and subjects? Ooh, Mrs. Durfin English, and also, David O. Dietz when he taught me choir and musicals. Fantastic. Go.
If you could do one thing over again, what would it be?
If I could do one thing over again, what would it be? Oh my gosh, I would have practiced my instruments a lot more. Go.
Who was your childhood idol?
Who was my childhood idol? I had two of them, Bruce Springsteen and Paul Newman. Go.
What was your biggest break in life?
What was my biggest break in life? Graduating from Cedar Cliff, graduating from Penn State, getting an education, giving my biggest break in life. I know, throw up, but it's true. Go.
What's your favorite vacation?
My favorite vacation? Fiji. If you ever get a chance to go to the South Pacific, just say yes and go do it. And I think the last question is, if I could retire, would I retire?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could retire, would I retire? The answer is no. I love what I do. Maybe I'm lucky enough I'll be one of those guys who's on stage playing King Lear and has a big fat heart attack just as they're giving me a standing ovation. Thanks, Abby.
Thank you, Patrick. We hope that you enjoyed our virtual program this year. As you can see, there are a lot of great things happening in West Shore, and we can't wait to see what's coming next. We appreciate your support through your donations and silent auction bids. The silent auction will remain open until 10 p.m. this evening. A special thank you to McClure Company for serving as this year's event sponsor. And thank you to all the sponsors for your support of the foundation and public education. On behalf of the West Shore Foundation, thank you for joining us and have a wonderful night.